Facial recognition technology is back in the news again. David Smith is a partner here at JMW Solicitors and specializes in data protection. So David, we've been here before. You and I have spoken about facial recognition, I think last time in the context of supermarkets. What's happened this time?
Yeah, I thought I recognized you from somewhere. So basically, the face recognition thing is just really taking off. More and more businesses are doing it. To some extent, the police, etc., are now effectively endorsing it. And of course, the subtext here is whose job is it to deal with shoplifters? And it seems to be the case that for many shops, they've kind of given up on it being dealt with through the police and the courts. They don't think it's effective, and they're just going to take their own steps. However, at the same time, it's quite a difficult and troubling situation. We're not clear how good quality this face recognition is. There is some evidence that it's biased, particularly in relation to people from ethnic minorities of various stamps. And, you know, there's always this possibility, isn't there, that you might suddenly find yourself unexpectedly banned from shops. And it's happened before, pre-face recognition. There have been cases where people were told they were banned from all branches or particular branches, where they've been suspected of shoplifting, but never in fact convicted or accused of shoplifting. Particularly, they just were a face that people thought might be associated. And it's very difficult because obviously businesses are perfectly entitled to decide who they do business with, but then, you know, we've had this in the context of banks most recently. There are certain businesses that you really need. If you only have one supermarket near you and you have no easy means of travel to alternatives, and then that system, rightly or wrongly, uses face recognition to block you and you can't shop, then how are you supposed to get food? And so withdrawal of service by businesses beyond a certain material size is quite difficult as a problem.
And I don't want people to know who I am when I walk past the camera. It's bad enough when you scan your card and they know when the last time you bought milk was, for instance. Do businesses need to be
just jumping there, I mean, it's almost inevitable that it will expand. I mean, if you're face recognizing people for security purposes, and the shop is also using a card or something which already marries up your shopping, I mean, it's almost a convenience thing, isn't it? Don't worry about the card, we'll just face recognize you and we'll do it for you. But then why bother asking you? Why bother waiting to get to the till? You could face recognize you as you walk in and give people dynamic pricing as they walk around the shops. Or we could just give you dynamic advertising. And so the whole thing quite easily expands quite rapidly beyond what appears to be a security measure through being a convenience measure into a substantively intrusive measure.
As they wheel over the products that they know that you're about to buy. Do businesses need to be careful with this sort of technology? I mean, you've spoken a little bit about perhaps advantages, if I can say that.
Yeah, I mean, businesses need to be able to justify its use. So the first point is, can you justify the use of face recognition technology in your business to identify criminals? And I'm not entirely convinced that businesses who are headed towards blanket use can in fact justify it. And I suspect they're going to eventually find themselves, one or more of them are going to find themselves sitting in court being asked to justify it, possibly with some difficulty. And then, of course, if you try to use it for something else, that justification would have to be rebuilt. So I think you'd have to be able to justify it. Then you'd have to think about whether that justification extended. And one of the key things about the data protection regulations is that justification for one thing is not justification for something else. And protean new uses of data are not actually permitted. So I think that there are two elements to this. One is, should you be doing it at all? And then the second element is can you do anything else with it? And the answer to the second question is almost certainly no. The answer to the first question is, well, maybe.
And how can you and the data protection team will help businesses with the maybe bit of that?
Well, certainly we've spent a lot of time looking at these kind of issues, and all of these things are judgment calls, but it can often be helpful to get someone outside to help put together a clearly thought through judgment. And to be entirely fair, the courts and the ICO are both clear that they're not there to replace the reasoned judgment of businesses. They might disagree and say, no, we think you've got this one wrong. But on balance, businesses are rarely fined or prosecuted or penalised by the courts for making reasoned judgment calls, provided they're thought through, and we can certainly help with that thinking through process.
David, thank you for your insight. And if you'd like to contact David and the data protection team here at JMW Solicitors, you can email insideman@jmw.co.uk or call 0161 82 81 999. Please also subscribe to the JMW Inside Man YouTube channel for the latest legal news, hints and tips. I'm Dominic Walker, JMW's Inside Man.